A gate agent slaps black twins for being loud, and moments later their judge mom arrives with Marshals. But what this veteran airline employee said right before she struck a 12-year-old boy in the face will make you question whether we've progressed at all since the days when black children were beaten for not knowing their place. That's what happens when you disrespect authority, boy. Vanessa Sterling stands over 12-year-old Bryce Harper at Gate C14 in Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson airport, her finger pointing inches from his face, her voice loud enough for everyone in the waiting area to hear, the red mark on Bryce's cheek still burning from where her hand just connected with enough force to knock him backward into a seat. The words hit Bryce like a second slap, his mind struggling to process that an adult just struck him in public, that this white woman felt entitled to put her hands on him because he asked when he could board his flight, that 30 people watched it happen and nobody moved to help. His twin sister Bailey is screaming, her hands shaking as she pulls out her phone, her 12-year-old brain trying to decide between calling 911 or texting their mother, settling on mom because mom always knows what to do. Here's what nobody wants to admit in 2026, racism didn't die when we elected black officials, it didn't disappear when airlines added diversity training, it evolved into something more insidious that hides behind customer service authority and I'm just enforcing the rules. And in some ways that makes it more dangerous than the open violence of the civil rights era because now when black children are assaulted people can claim it was about behavior not race, about respect not hatred, about maintaining order instead of the truth which is that some people still believe black children deserve physical punishment for the crime of existing with confidence. Bryce isn't surprised by Vanessa's violence, he's shocked yes because you're never quite prepared for an adult to hit you in an airport full of witnesses. But surprised? No, this is his reality as a black child in America, the teacher who grabbed his arm hard enough to bruise when he asked to use the bathroom, the store manager who followed him assuming he was shoplifting, the soccer coach who benched him for talking back when white teammates said worse and got warnings. Each time the same message, black children don't get the benefit of doubt, don't deserve gentle correction, exist at the mercy of white authority that can turn violent without warning. Ma'am, he didn't do anything wrong, Bailey tries to defend her brother through tears. We've been sitting here for 45 minutes, everyone else already boarded, he just asked when we could get on the plane. I don't want to hear excuses from you either, Vanessa's voice is sharp. You two have been loud and disruptive since you got here, I've been watching you, and I'm not tolerating disrespect from children who clearly weren't taught proper manners. Around them other passengers watch with uncomfortable expressions, some already recording on phones, sensing something terribly wrong is happening but nobody speaking up, nobody challenging this woman's authority, nobody willing to risk confrontation to defend two black children being terrorized. An older white woman whispers to her companion loud enough for others to hear, "Those kids haven't done anything, they've been sitting quietly for almost an hour, why is she being so cruel to them?" But whispers don't stop violence. Observation doesn't equal intervention, and Bryce and Bailey stand alone at Gate C14 learning the brutal lesson that being right doesn't protect you when you're black and 12 and facing an adult who's decided you're a problem. If you believe no child should be slapped for asking to board their flight, keep watching. If you think airport discrimination only happens in history books, you need to see what happens when a gate agent assaults the children of a federal judge. And if you've ever been treated like you're less than human because of your skin color, drop a comment below and tell us your story. We're reading every single one. Tell us where you're watching from and what time it is right now. This story doesn't end the way you think. Hit that like button if you stand against child abuse and subscribe to this channel because we're exposing the racism that airlines don't want you to see. Bailey's text to their mother is already sent. 3 words that will bring federal authority crashing down on Vanessa Sterling's world faster than she can imagine. Mom, emergency gate lady hit Bryce in the face, we're scared. And 250 miles away in Savannah, Judge Rachel Harper reads those words and feels something cold and terrible settle in her chest. The knowledge that her children are in danger and she's not there to protect them, followed immediately by the certainty that she has the power to make everyone responsible pay in ways they can't begin to comprehend. But to understand how 2 12-year-old twins ended up assaulted at an airport gate while their mother was 250 miles away, you need to know who Bryce and Bailey Harper really are, And more importantly, you need to understand why this New Year's Eve trip to Denver represents everything their parents have worked to give them despite a world that constantly tells black children they don't deserve independence or joy. Bryce and Bailey Harper are 12 years old, 7th grade at Douglas Academy in Atlanta, honor students who excel at different things that make them perfect complements to each other. Bryce loves debate and public speaking, dreams of being a civil rights attorney like his father, has already won 2 regional speech competitions with arguments about justice and equality that make adults uncomfortable with their clarity. Bailey loves creative writing and journalism, wants to expose injustice through storytelling, keeps detailed journals documenting every microaggression and moment of discrimination they experience because she believes documentation is resistance. They're fraternal twins but close in ways that transcend biology. Bryce is protective and bold, willing to speak up when authority oversteps. Bailey is observant and strategic, captures evidence and builds cases. They have Sunday morning waffle debates where they argue opposite sides of social issues, Wednesday movie nights where they watch films about the civil rights movement and discuss what's changed and what hasn't, bedtime conversations where they process the racism they faced that day and remind each other they're not imagining it, it's real and it's wrong. Their mother is Judge Rachel Harper, federal district court judge appointed at 42, youngest black woman ever to sit on the bench in the Northern District of Georgia, known for her sharp legal mind and zero tolerance for discrimination in her courtroom. She presided over a major airline discrimination case 2 years ago, ruled against the carrier for systematic profiling of black passengers, personally knows the CEO from settlement negotiations where she made clear that civil rights violations would be met with maximum penalties. Their father is David Harper, civil rights attorney who spent 20 years fighting employment discrimination, police brutality, housing segregation, teaching his children that knowing your rights is the first line of defense against injustice. He trained Bryce and Bailey starting at age 8, taught them to speak clearly and firmly to authority, to document everything, to call mom immediately if adults overstep, to understand that being polite doesn't mean accepting abuse. This trip to Denver is a family tradition. Every New Year's Eve the twins fly alone to celebrate with their cousins, a ritual that started when they were 10 and has become a marker of their growing independence, proof that their parents trust them to navigate the world alone. Their parents are in Savannah for a rare couples retreat, first vacation without children in 3 years, a chance to reconnect while the twins enjoy adventure. That morning they woke early, packed carefully with their mother's supervision, double-checked they had identification and emergency contacts, reviewed protocols for flying alone even though they've done this twice before. Their father drove them to Hartsfield-Jackson, reminded them to be respectful but firm, to call immediately if anything felt wrong, to remember they have the right to dignity and safety. "You're Harper children," he said with pride. "You're brilliant, you're strong, you're loved. Don't let anyone make you feel small, and if anyone tries, call your mother because she has federal authority to make their lives very difficult." Check-in went smoothly. The ticket agent processed their unaccompanied minor paperwork, smiled and said they seemed very mature and responsible for 12. Security was normal, TSA agents professional and efficient, one commenting on Bailey's journal asking if she was a writer, seeming genuinely interested when she explained her dreams. The terminal was crowded with New Year's Eve travelers, families heading to celebrations, couples going to parties, business people squeezing in last-minute trips. They found Gate C14 an hour before boarding, settled into seats with their backpacks, pulled out Bailey's tablet to play games and Bryce's book about Thurgood Marshall. They were excited, talking about seeing their cousins, about the New Year's party their aunt planned, about staying up until midnight, their voices animated with the natural energy of 12-year-olds anticipating joy. Then Vanessa Sterling arrived for her shift, gate agent with 17 years experience and a personnel file full of complaints that HR ignored, complaints about rudeness to passengers, about treating black travelers with suspicion, about microaggressions that never quite crossed the line into fireable offenses but created a pattern anyone paying attention would recognize. She noticed the twins immediately, 2 black children alone at her gate, talking and laughing, being too comfortable, too confident, taking up space like they belong there. Something about their ease triggered her bias. The assumption that black children need to be controlled, that their joy is disruption, that their presence requires surveillance. "You two need to settle down right now," Vanessa's voice cut across the gate area. This isn't a playground. Other passengers are trying to rest. Show some respect and be quiet. Bryce and Bailey looked up confused. They weren't yelling or running, just talking at normal volume, doing nothing different from the white children playing loudly 3 gates over that Vanessa walked past without comment. "Sorry, ma'am," Bryce said immediately, the reflexive apology black children learn early. "We'll be quieter." "See that you are," Vanessa's tone carried warning. "I'll be watching you too. Unaccompanied minors need to be on their absolute best behavior or there are consequences." She walked away and Bailey whispered to Bryce, "We weren't even being loud. Why is she mad at us?" Bryce shrugged, but unease settled in his stomach, the familiar feeling of being targeted, of adult authority deciding you're a problem before you've done anything wrong, of knowing that being good won't protect you if someone's already decided you're bad. The boarding announcement crackles through Gate C14 speakers, the gate agent's voice professional and routine. "We're now beginning pre-boarding for passengers needing assistance and unaccompanied minors. Please approach the podium with your boarding passes." Bryce and Bailey stand immediately, gathering their backpacks, relief flooding through them that finally they can board, that this uncomfortable hour of being watched by Vanessa Sterling is ending. They walk toward the podium with their boarding passes ready, their unaccompanied minor documentation prepared, everything organized exactly how their parents taught them. Vanessa steps directly into their path, her body blocking access to the jetway. "Where do you think you're going?" Bailey's voice is polite, confused. "We're unaccompanied minors, ma'am," the announcement said, to board now. "I know what the announcement said," Vanessa's tone drips condescension. "I need to verify your documentation first before I can allow you to board." Bryce hands her their boarding passes and the unaccompanied minor forms that were already checked and stamped at the ticket counter 30 minutes ago, forms that are clearly valid and complete. Vanessa examines them with exaggerated suspicion, holding them up to the light, squinting at signatures, taking far longer than necessary. "These look irregular," she says finally. "I need to verify with the system. This might take a few minutes." "But they were just checked at the ticket counter," Bailey tries to explain. "The agent said everything was perfect." "Are you questioning my procedures?" Vanessa's voice rises slightly. "Are you telling me how to do my job?" "Sit down, both of you. I'll call you when I'm ready." The twins return to their seats, bewildered and anxious, watching as regular boarding begins, as families stream past them toward the plane, as the gate area slowly empties. White families with children pass through, kids being loud and rowdy, playing tag around the waiting area, parents chatting on phones ignoring them completely, and Vanessa waves them all through with smiles and have a great flight. 20 minutes pass, the twins sitting quietly, watching the line dwindle, watching their fellow passengers disappear down the jetway while they remain stranded. Bryce's anxiety builds, his hands fidgeting with his backpack straps, his eyes darting between the gate clock and Vanessa, who's now helping other passengers with connections and questions. "Ma'am," Bryce ventures when Vanessa walks past. "Everyone's boarding. When can we get on?" Vanessa doesn't even stop walking. "When I'm ready, stop asking or you'll be waiting even longer." 30 minutes now, the plane visible through the window nearly full, passengers settling into seats, flight attendants moving through the cabin. Bailey's eyes fill with tears she's trying desperately not to shed, her 12-year-old mind struggling to understand why this adult hates them, what they did wrong, why being polite isn't enough. "We're going to miss our flight," she whispers to Bryce. "Our cousins are waiting. What are we going to tell Mom and Dad?" "Let's just wait," Bryce whispers back, his voice tight with forced calm. "Don't make her mad, just wait like she said." Vanessa speaks loudly to another gate agent, her voice carrying across the now nearly empty waiting area. "Keep an eye on those two," she gestures toward the twins. "They've been disruptive all morning, unaccompanied minors with serious attitude problems. I've been watching them cause trouble." The younger gate agent, a woman named Jennifer who looks uncomfortable, glances at the twins sitting silently. "Vanessa, they've been sitting quietly for 30 minutes. I haven't seen them do anything." "I know trouble when I see it," Vanessa says with authority. "Trust me, I've been doing this 17 years. Those kids are problems waiting to happen." Jennifer doesn't argue further, but her expression shows doubt. shows discomfort with what she's witnessing, shows the beginning of guilt that will haunt her later when she realizes she could have intervened but chose silence instead. The twins hear everything, hear themselves labeled as troublemakers despite sitting motionless, despite doing exactly what they were told, despite their perfect behavior meaning nothing to this woman who's decided their blackness equals disruption. Other passengers waiting for different flights notice, a white woman in her 60s watching with growing concern, an elderly black man reading a newspaper but listening intently, college students absorbed in phones but peripherally aware something isn't right, all of them witnesses to escalating injustice, all of them staying silent. 40 minutes past the initial boarding call now, the flight is fully boarded except for 2 empty seats in row 14, 2 seats paid for and waiting, 2 children being denied access for reasons that have nothing to do with policy and everything to do with the color of their skin. The gate agent makes a final announcement, her voice echoing through the depleted waiting area. Final call for Flight 1847 to Denver. All passengers should be on board. We're preparing to close the aircraft door. The twins look at each other, panic replacing confusion, the reality hitting that Vanessa might actually make them miss their flight, that this isn't just harassment but active sabotage, that their New Year's tradition is being stolen by an adult's cruelty. Bryce stands up, his heart pounding, his voice cracking slightly with fear and desperation. "Ma'am, that's our flight. Can we please board now?" Vanessa doesn't even look up from her computer screen. "Sit down." But it's the final call. Bryce tries again. "We're going to miss it. Our family is waiting in Denver." Vanessa finally looks at him, her expression showing satisfaction at his distress. "Maybe you should have thought about that before being disrespectful and difficult. Maybe this will teach you to behave properly in public." Bailey is crying openly now, her voice breaking. "We haven't been disrespectful. We've been sitting here quietly for 40 minutes doing everything you told us." "Don't raise your voice at me, young lady." Vanessa's tone is sharp. "See, this is exactly the attitude I'm talking about. This is why you're having problems." The white woman who's been watching finally speaks up, her voice hesitant but concerned. "Excuse me, but those kids have been sitting there quietly this whole time. Why aren't they being allowed to board their flight?" Vanessa turns on her, face hardening. "Ma'am, this doesn't concern you. Please mind your own business or I'll have to ask you to move to a different gate area." The woman goes silent, intimidated, choosing her comfort over the twins' welfare, the first of many who will carry guilt for witnessing and doing nothing. The elderly black man stands, his voice firm with authority. "This is wrong. Those are children. Let them board their flight before it leaves without them." "Sir," Vanessa's voice takes on threat. "I'm going to call security if you continue to interfere with airline operations. Sit down and be quiet." The man sits slowly, muttering under his breath, his eyes meeting Bryce's with apology and shared understanding of powerlessness against white authority. Bryce feels something shift inside him, desperation mixing with the lessons his father taught him about standing up for yourself, about speaking truth to power, about not accepting injustice quietly even when you're afraid. Bryce takes a deep breath, squares his shoulders, reaches for the courage his parents instilled in him about dignity and self-advocacy. "Please, ma'am, with all respect, our family is waiting for us in Denver. We've done everything you asked. We've been sitting quietly. Can we please just board our flight?" Vanessa's expression shifts from annoyance to something darker, genuine anger at being challenged by someone she views as beneath her authority, a black child who doesn't understand his place. "Oh, now you're polite? After being disruptive and difficult all morning?" "We were just talking," Bailey tries to explain through tears. "We're 12, we were excited about New Year's Eve, we weren't being disruptive." "Exactly," Vanessa's voice drips with condescension. "You're 12, children, who clearly don't know how to behave in public spaces, who need to learn that airports require decorum and respect." "We do respect you," Bryce's voice wavers but holds steady. "We've shown nothing but respect. We apologized when you said we were too loud even though we weren't yelling. We sat quietly when you told us to wait. We haven't complained even though everyone else boarded before us. What more do you want from us?" The question hangs in the air, the truth behind it obvious to everyone watching. What Vanessa wants is submission beyond reason, is groveling, is these black children accepting punishment for the crime of existing with joy and confidence. "I want you to learn patience," Vanessa says with false sweetness. I want you to understand that when adults give you instructions, you follow them without attitude, without questioning, without thinking you know better. Bailey looks at the empty gate area, at the jet bridge doors still open but the flight attendant visible at the entrance looking at her watch, at their last chance to make this flight slipping away. We just want to see our cousins. Her voice breaks completely. This is our tradition. We do this every year. Please don't make us miss it. Then you should have behaved appropriately from the start. Vanessa crosses her arms. Actions have consequences. Maybe next time you'll remember to be respectful. A businessman waiting for a different flight stands abruptly, his voice sharp with disgust. This is absurd. Those kids have done nothing wrong. You're on a power trip and everyone here can see it. Vanessa whirls on him. Sir, I will call security and have you removed if you continue to harass airline personnel. This is your final warning. The man looks like he wants to argue more, wants to defend children being tortured by bureaucratic cruelty, but fear of being arrested or banned wins out. He sits back down cursing under his breath, another witness choosing safety over intervention. The flight attendant at the jet bridge walks over to Vanessa, her voice quiet. Vanessa, we need to close the door. Are those two boarding or not? Vanessa looks at the twins, at their tear-streaked faces, at Bryce standing tall despite trembling, at Bailey clutching her brother's arm. Not yet, I'm still verifying their documentation. The flight attendant looks at the twins with sympathy but doesn't challenge Vanessa's authority, returns to the jet bridge, speaks into her radio, the plane preparing for departure without them. Bailey pulls out her phone with shaking hands, her mind racing through options. Call mom, call dad. Call someone who can stop this nightmare, someone who has power that matches Vanessa's cruelty. Put that phone away, Vanessa snaps. No phones at the gate, that's another rule you're breaking. I'm texting my mother. Bailey's voice is small but defiant. She told us to call if anything went wrong and this is wrong. You're being mean for no reason. Your mother isn't here, Vanessa says coldly. I am, and you follow my rules or you don't fly at all. Bryce feels rage building, the kind of anger that comes from injustice so blatant it can't be rationalized away, from being punished for doing everything right, from watching an adult abuse power simply because she can. Ma'am, everyone else has boarded, he says again, his voice stronger now despite the tears. We have valid tickets, we're unaccompanied minors with proper documentation, you are required by airline policy to board us, so we're asking you one final time, can we please get on our flight? The gate area goes completely silent, every person waiting for other flights watching this confrontation, phones out recording, witnessing a 12-year-old black boy standing up to adult authority with more dignity and composure than the adult is showing. Vanessa's face turns red, genuine fury replacing performative authority. She sees this child, this black male child almost as tall as her, speaking to her with confidence and clarity, using words like required and policy, challenging her power in front of witnesses. You think you can tell me what to do? Her voice rises, professional mask slipping completely. You think because you know some big words you're in charge here? No ma'am, Bryce's voice shakes. I just think we have rights as passengers and you're not following your own airline's policies. Rights? Vanessa steps closer, invading his personal space. You're a child, you have the rights I give you, and right now I'm giving you the right to sit down and be quiet. Bailey grabs Bryce's arm, terrified of where this is going. Bryce, please, let's just sit down, we can call mom and she'll fix this. If you've ever watched a child beg for basic fairness while adults abused power, if you've ever seen someone record injustice instead of stopping it, this moment should break your heart. Two 12-year-olds are being tortured for being black and confident, for existing with joy, for thinking they deserve the same treatment as white passengers. Subscribe if you believe children shouldn't be punished for their skin color. Like this video if witnessing cruelty without intervening makes you complicit, because what happens next will show you that silence in the face of abuse is a choice that destroys innocence. But Bryce doesn't sit down. Something in him refuses to submit to this injustice, refuses to teach himself that staying quiet keeps you safe when the evidence in front of him proves that being quiet didn't protect them at all. We're not doing anything wrong, his voice cracks but the words come out clear. You're the one being inappropriate, you're the one treating us differently than everyone else, you're the one who should be, he searches for the word his father would use, accountable. The word hangs in the air like a challenge, like a threat to Vanessa's authority, and something snaps in her, rage overtaking professionalism, hatred of being challenged by a black child overtaking common sense. She comes around the podium, walks right up to Bryce until she's inches from his face, her voice low and venomous. "You want to talk about accountability, boy? You want to stand here and disrespect me? Tell me what I should do?" Bryce's eyes widen, he steps back but she follows. Bailey screaming, "Bryce, stop please." Other passengers standing now, phones definitely recording, everyone sensing this is about to cross a line that can't be uncrossed. "I'm not trying to disrespect you." Bryce's voice wavers as he steps backward, his 12-year-old body trying to create distance from this adult who's radiating hostility. "I just want to board my flight, that's all. Just let us board please." "Oh, now you're begging?" Vanessa's voice carries across the gate area, loud enough that everyone waiting for other flights can hear every word. "Now you understand you should have been polite from the beginning instead of coming to my gate with your attitude?" "We didn't have an attitude." Bailey moves closer to her brother, her voice desperate. "We were just happy, we were excited about seeing our family. That's not attitude, that's just being kids." Vanessa looks at Bailey with contempt. "Your parents clearly didn't teach you proper manners, didn't teach you how to behave in public. Maybe if they disciplined you better you wouldn't be in this situation." "Don't talk about our parents." Bryce's voice strengthens despite his fear. "You don't know anything about them, you don't know how they raised us. They taught us to be respectful and confident and to stand up when adults are being unfair." The word unfair seems to trigger something deeper in Vanessa, the implication that she, a white woman with 17 years of authority, could be unfair to anyone, especially to black children who should know better than to challenge her. Unfair? Her voice rises to something close to a shout. "I'll tell you what's unfair. It's unfair that I have to deal with entitled children who think rules don't apply to them. It's unfair that you're disrupting my gate area and making my job harder." The businessman who spoke earlier stands again, his voice firm. "Ma'am, those children haven't disrupted anything. They've been sitting quietly while you've been harassing them for no reason. Everyone here has witnessed it. Stay out of this." Vanessa whirls on him. "This is between me and these children. You have no right to interfere." The elderly black man stands too, his voice carrying the weight of decades watching this same scene play out in different contexts. "Young man is right. You've been tormenting these babies for an hour. Let them board their flight and leave them alone." Vanessa looks around the gate area, sees multiple people standing now, sees phones recording, sees her authority being challenged publicly, and instead of backing down she doubles down, her pride refusing to admit wrongdoing. "Everyone sit down." Her voice cracks with anger. "I am the authority here. I make the decisions about who boards and when, and if anyone else interferes I'm calling security to clear this entire gate area." The white woman who questioned her earlier pulls out her phone visibly, starts recording. "I'm documenting this," she announces. "Someone needs to see how you're treating these children." "You can't record me without permission," Vanessa snaps. "That's a violation of my privacy." "We're in a public airport," the woman responds. "I can record whatever I want, and what I want is evidence of you abusing your power over two scared kids." Bryce watches this unfold, watches adults finally defending them, watches Vanessa losing control of the situation she created, and feels a small spark of hope that maybe this ends without them missing their flight. Maybe these witnesses make her back down. "Ma'am," he tries once more, his voice calm despite everything. "We don't want trouble, we just want to go to Denver. Our cousins are waiting, our family planned this. Please just let us board and we'll leave you alone." "Leave me alone?" Vanessa's laugh is bitter, harsh. "You've been bothering me since you got here with your loud talking and your disrespectful attitude and your constant questions." "We asked twice," Bailey's voice breaks. "Twice in 45 minutes we asked when we could board. That's not constant, that's just normal." "Don't you dare talk back to me," Vanessa's finger points at Bailey now. "You're just as bad as your brother. Both of you think you're special, think you deserve better treatment than everyone else." "We just want the same treatment," Bryce says quietly. "We just want what you gave every other passenger. We just want to board our flight like everyone else did." The truth of this statement hangs in the air undeniable. Everyone present knows these twins have been treated differently, knows the harassment has nothing to do with behavior and everything to do with bias, knows Vanessa has been looking for any excuse to exert power over these black children. "You think you're so smart, Vanessa's voice drops to something dangerous. You think using big words makes you equal to adults? You think because your parents probably taught you to be mouthy and demanding that you can come to my gate and tell me how to do my job? Our parents taught us to speak up when something is wrong, Bryce says, his father's lessons echoing in his mind. They taught us we have rights, that we deserve respect, that being young doesn't mean accepting mistreatment. Rights? Vanessa practically spits the word. Let me tell you about rights, boy. You have the rights I choose to give you, you have the privilege I choose to extend, and right now I'm choosing to teach you a lesson about respecting your elders and knowing your place. The phrase knowing your place sends chills through every black person in the gate area, the coded language so obvious it might as well be a slur, the implication that these children have stepped above their station by expecting fair treatment. I know my place, Bryce's voice shakes with emotion. My place is on that plane to Denver, my place is with my family celebrating New Year's, my place is not being harassed by you for an hour for no reason. No reason? Vanessa's control snaps completely. I'll give you a reason. You've been disruptive and disrespectful and difficult from the moment you arrived. You've questioned my authority repeatedly, you've caused a scene with your complaining and your attitude, and now you're standing here arguing with me in front of other passengers. We're not arguing, Bailey sobs. We're literally begging you to just let us on the plane. What do you want from us? I want you to learn respect, Vanessa says coldly. I want you to understand that actions have consequences. I want you to remember next time you fly that when an adult in authority tells you to do something, you do it without question or complaint. Even when the adult is wrong. Bryce asks, the question escaping before he can stop it. Even when they're being unfair and mean and treating us badly for no reason. The question is too much, the challenge too direct. Bryce calling her wrong and unfair and mean in front of witnesses, this black child refusing to submit, refusing to accept her narrative, refusing to learn the lesson she's trying to teach. Vanessa's hand comes up fast. Bryce sees it but doesn't process what's happening until the slap connects with his face, the crack echoing through the gate area like a gunshot, the force of it snapping his head sideways and sending him stumbling backward into a chair. The sound of Vanessa's palm connecting with Bryce's face reverberates through Gate C14 like thunder. Passengers 30 feet away hear the crack, see the 12-year-old boy's head snap to the side from the force. Watch him stumble backward into a seat, his hand flying to his cheek where a red handprint is already forming. The gate area gasps collectively, a sharp inhale of shock that seems to suck the air from the space. Frozen moment where nobody moves, nobody speaks, everyone's brains struggling to process that an adult just struck a child in public. Bailey screams, high-pitched and terrified, runs to her brother who's standing now but swaying slightly, stunned, his eyes wide with disbelief, tears streaming down his face mixing with the burning pain radiating from where Vanessa's hand made contact. Bryce. Bailey grabs his arm, her voice breaking. Oh my God, Bryce, are you okay? Bryce can't answer, his hand touching his face gingerly, feeling the heat, the sting, the humiliation of being hit in front of all these strangers, his mind unable to reconcile that this actually happened, that an adult he was taught to respect just assaulted him. Vanessa stands over him, her finger pointing inches from his face, her voice triumphant and vicious. That's what happens when you disrespect authority, boy. Maybe now you'll learn to keep your mouth shut and do what you're told. The word boy hangs in the air with its full historical weight, the racist undertones so obvious that several people in the gate area flinch, the implication clear that this isn't about behavior but about putting a black child in what Vanessa considers his proper place. Bailey puts herself between Vanessa and her brother, 12 years old and tiny but fierce with protective rage. Don't you touch him again, her voice shakes but the words are clear. Don't you dare put your hands on my brother. Or what? Vanessa leans down to Bailey's level, her voice mocking. You'll hit me back? Then you'll both be arrested for assaulting an airline employee? Is that what you want? The white woman with her phone out speaks loudly, her voice cutting through the shock. I'm calling the police. You just assaulted a child in front of 30 witnesses. You're going to jail. He assaulted me verbally. Vanessa whirls on her, improvising justification. He was aggressive and threatening. I felt unsafe, I was defending myself. But the elderly black man's voice booms. We all saw it. That boy was just talking. You hit him because he wouldn't bow down to you. Everyone here is a witness. Other passengers erupt, voices overlapping. She's lying. Call security. That's child abuse. Someone help those kids. The gate area transforms from shocked silence to chaotic outrage. People standing, phones recording, voices demanding justice. Vanessa looks around at the growing crowd, at the phones capturing her from multiple angles, at the situation spiraling beyond her control, and instead of apologizing or backing down, she goes on offense. Everyone calm down. Her voice rises, trying to regain authority. That child was being belligerent and disrespectful. I had to restore order. You're all overreacting. You hit a 12-year-old in the face, the businessman yells. That's not restoring order. That's assault. You belong in handcuffs. Bailey's hands shake as she pulls her phone from her pocket, her mind racing through options. Mom said call if emergency. This is emergency. Mom will know what to do. Mom can fix this. She opens messages to the contact labeled mom-call if emergency, starts typing with trembling fingers. Put that phone away. Vanessa snaps, seeing what Bailey's doing. No phones at the gate. I told you that's against rules. I'm texting my mother. Bailey's voice is small but determined. You just hit my brother. She needs to know. She told us to call if anything bad happened. Your mother isn't here, Vanessa says with false confidence. I am, and you need to follow my instructions or you'll be in even more trouble. Our mom is a federal judge, Bailey says through tears, the words escaping before she can think about whether revealing this information is wise. She's going to make sure you go to jail for hitting Bryce. Vanessa's face flickers with something that might be concern, but pride won't let her show fear. I don't care if your mother is the president. You two were out of control and I restored order. Any court will see I was justified. But Bailey isn't listening anymore, her fingers flying across her phone screen, typing the message that will change everything. Mom emergency exclamation gate lady hit Bryce in the face exclamation we're scared. She pauses, adds more detail because mom always says details matter. Gate C14 Atlanta period she won't let us board period Bryce is crying period his face is red period help us please. Her thumb hovers over send for half a second, then presses, the message launching into digital space, traveling at the speed of light towards Savannah where their mother is having breakfast, where Judge Rachel Harper's phone is sitting on a table 250 miles away, where in approximately 3 seconds a mother's world is about to shatter and a gate agent's life is about to end. Bryce sits in the chair, his face buried in his hands, shoulders shaking with sobs that are part pain, part humiliation, part disbelief that this is happening. Bailey sits beside him, one arm around his shoulders, her other hand clutching her phone, waiting for mom to respond, knowing help is coming but not knowing if it will come fast enough. The businessman approaches, kneels in front of the twins. Hey, I'm calling airport police right now. That woman is going to be arrested. You two are going to be okay. She hit him so hard, Bailey's voice breaks. We didn't do anything wrong. We were just asking to board our flight and she hit him. I know, sweetheart, the man says gently. Everyone here saw it. There are videos. She's not getting away with this, I promise. The white woman who's been recording approaches too, her face showing anger and guilt mixed together. I got the whole thing on video, the slap, everything she said. I'm so sorry I didn't intervene sooner. I should have done more before it got to this. Vanessa watches the crowd gathering around the twins, watches her authority crumbling, watches witnesses organizing against her, and for the first time seems to understand she might have made a catastrophic mistake. But instead of apologizing, she retreats to defensiveness, to the assumption that her position protects her, to the belief that surely the airline will back her version of events. I'm filing my own report, she announces to no one in particular. Those children were aggressive and I felt threatened. I acted in self-defense. The airline will support my decision. But the airline won't support her decision, the videos won't support her story, the witnesses won't corroborate her lies, and most critically Judge Rachel Harper 250 miles away just read her daughter's text and is already moving with the kind of focused fury that only a mother protecting her children can summon. In Savannah, at the Bohemian Hotel overlooking the river, Judge Rachel Harper and David Harper sit on their balcony finishing breakfast, their first real couple's time in 2 years, trying to enjoy the rare luxury of a morning without court schedules or client meetings or children's activities demanding their attention. Rachel's phone buzzes on the table. She glances at it expecting work email or a news alert, sees instead a text from Bailey, sees the word emergency in all caps followed by multiple exclamation points, and her stomach drops before she even reads the full message. Oh my God, the words come out strangled as she reads. Oh my God, oh my God. David looks up from his coffee, sees his wife's face go from relaxed to terrified in seconds. What? Rachel, what's wrong? She doesn't answer, just hands him the phone with shaking hands, watches his face transform as he reads the words Gate Lady hit Bryce in the face, watches him stand so abruptly his chair crashes backward onto the balcony. Someone hit our son? David's voice is disbelief and rage combined. Someone put their hands on Bryce? Rachel is already dialing Bailey, her legal mind trying to stay calm while her mother's heart is screaming. The phone rings once and Bailey answers immediately, her voice high and crying and terrified. She hit Bryce. Right in front of everyone, she slapped him really hard. His face is so red, he won't stop crying. We don't know what to do. Rachel forces her voice steady even though her hands are shaking. Baby, listen to me carefully. Are you safe right this second? Is she still near you? She's at her desk, Bailey sobs. She's yelling at people, everyone's yelling. There's people recording on their phones. It's crazy here. Let me talk to your brother, Rachel says, needing to hear Bryce's voice, needing to assess how bad this is. There's rustling, then Bryce's voice comes through broken and small. Mom, she hit me. I just asked to board the plane and she hit me in the face. It hurts so much. Rachel closes her eyes, tears streaming down her face, her professional composure cracking. Baby, I need you to listen very carefully. You did nothing wrong. Do you hear me? Nothing. This woman assaulted you and that's a crime. She said I was disrespectful. Bryce's voice wavers. She said I needed to learn my place. She said we have attitude problems. I don't care what she said. Rachel's voice hardens. She's an adult. You're a child. She put her hands on you. That's assault and battery. Now listen, I need you and Bailey to stay exactly where you are. Don't move from that gate. Don't engage with that woman anymore. I'm handling this right now. What are you going to do? Bryce asks. I'm going to make sure she never hurts another child again, Rachel says. Put me on speaker so Bailey can hear too. Bryce puts the phone on speaker, both twins huddled around it. Bailey, Bryce, stay together, stay on this call with me. I'm making other calls but don't hang up. You're going to hear me handle this, okay? Okay, the twins say in unison, their voices small. Rachel looks at David. Get our bags, we're leaving right now. I'm driving to Atlanta. I'll drive. David is already moving. You make your calls? How fast can we get there? 2.5 hours if I break every speed limit, Rachel says. But help is arriving much faster than that. She pulls up her contacts, finds Atlanta Airport Police, her federal judge credentials giving her direct lines that bypass regular dispatch. This is Federal Judge Rachel Harper, badge number F-2847. I'm calling to report an assault on minors at Gate C14 in your facility. My twin children age 12 were physically assaulted by a gate agent named Vanessa Sterling. I need officers dispatched immediately. The suspect is still on scene. My children are still in potential danger. The dispatcher's voice is professional, urgent. Judge Harper, we're sending units now. Can you describe the assault? Gate agent slapped my son across the face hard enough to leave visible marks. Rachel's voice is ice. There are multiple witnesses, video evidence. I need that woman detained and I need medical to assess my son's injuries. Officers are en route, ETA 4 minutes. The dispatcher confirms. Are your children able to stay on the line with you? Yes, they're on speaker with me now, Rachel says. I'm 250 miles away, but I have them on the phone. I need your officers to secure the scene and make sure that woman doesn't approach my children again. Understood, Judge Harper. Units are rolling. Rachel ends that call, immediately dials another number, U.S. Marshals Service, the direct line she has access to as a federal judge, the kind of authority most people don't realize exists until they see it deployed. This is Judge Rachel Harper, Northern District of Georgia. I'm invoking federal protection for assault victims. My children were assaulted at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport Gate C14. Suspect is an airport employee still on scene. I'm requesting marshal presence to secure the scene and ensure the suspect doesn't flee before I arrive from Savannah. The marshal who answers knows her voice, knows her reputation. Judge Harper will have deputies there in 12 minutes. The suspect will be secured. Do you need witness statements preserved? Yes, Rachel says. There were multiple witnesses. I need statements taken before anyone leaves. This needs to be airtight. I want federal charges filed. Understood, Your Honor. We'll handle it. Rachel hangs up, dials a third number, this one from memory, the private cell of Maxwell Preston, CEO of the airline, a man she knows personally from a major discrimination case she presided over 18 months ago where she ruled against his company and personally wrote a scathing opinion about their systematic profiling of black passengers. Maxwell answers on the second ring. Judge Harper, to what do I owe the pleasure? Max, one of your gate agents just slapped my 12-year-old son in the face at Gate C14 in Atlanta. Rachel's voice could cut steel. Her name is Vanessa Sterling. She's been harassing my children for an hour and then she physically assaulted my son in front of 30+ witnesses. The line goes silent for 3 seconds, then Maxwell's voice comes back horrified. Judge Harper, Jesus Christ, are your children okay? No, they're not okay, Rachel says flatly. They're traumatized, and here's what's going to happen. Your head of security is going to meet airport police and U.S. Marshals at that gate right now. Vanessa Sterling is going to be arrested, and you're going to pull every complaint ever filed against her and send it to my office by end of day, because I'm guessing this isn't her first time. I'm making calls right now, Maxwell says, his voice shaking. Judge Harper, I am profoundly sorry. There's no excuse. Your apologies mean nothing, Rachel interrupts. Your actions will. I want her employment terminated before she leaves that airport. I want a statement from your company condemning what she did, and I want you to assign someone to protect my children until I get there in 2.5 hours. If anything else happens to them, I will hold your airline personally liable. It will be done, Maxwell promises. I'm sending our VP of operations. He'll be there in 15 minutes. Good, Rachel says. And Max? We'll be talking about civil liability once the criminal case is resolved. Start preparing your legal team. She hangs up without waiting for response, looks at David who's throwing their belongings into bags with controlled fury. 10 minutes after Bailey sent the text, after Rachel made her calls, after wheels of federal authority began turning, 4 Atlanta airport police officers arrive at Gate C14 walking with purpose, their presence commanding immediate attention from everyone in the waiting area. The lead officer, Sergeant Marcus Davis, surveys the scene, sees a gate agent standing defensively at her podium, sees 2 12-year-old children huddled together on their phone, sees multiple passengers standing around recording, sees a situation that's clearly escalated beyond normal airport operations. Who's Vanessa Sterling? His voice carries authority that expects immediate compliance. Vanessa steps forward, her face showing relief that police arrived, assuming they're here to support her authority. These people are harassing me because I had to discipline some unruly children who were being disruptive and threatening. Ma'am, we have a report of assault on minors, Sergeant Davis says. Where are Bryce and Bailey Harper? The twins raise their hands tentatively, still on the phone with their mother, still scared despite the police presence. Davis approaches them slowly, his demeanor shifting from authoritative to gentle. Are you two the Harper twins? Yes, sir, Bryce says, his voice barely above a whisper. We're here to help. Davis kneels to their level. Is your mom on the phone? Yes, Bailey holds out the phone. She's on speaker. She's been with us this whole time. Davis takes the phone carefully. Judge Harper, this is Sergeant Marcus Davis, Atlanta Airport Police. I have your children. They appear shaken but safe. One child has visible facial redness consistent with a slap injury. Rachel's voice comes through the speaker, controlled but with steel underneath. Sergeant, the suspect is the gate agent. Secure her immediately. U.S. Marshals are en route. I want medical to assess my son, and I want witness statements from everyone in that gate area. Yes, Your Honor. Davis hands the phone back to Bailey, turns to Vanessa. Ma'am, I need you to step away from the podium. You're being detained for investigation of assault and battery on a minor. Vanessa's face transforms from relief to shock to outrage. This is ridiculous. I'm the victim here. That boy was aggressive and threatening. I felt unsafe. Ma'am, turn around, hands behind your back. Davis's voice leaves no room for argument. You can't arrest me. Vanessa's voice rises. I'm an airline employee. I have authority here. I was maintaining order. Not anymore. Davis pulls out handcuffs. You're under arrest for assault and battery on a minor. You have the right to remain silent. The handcuffs click onto Vanessa's wrists and the gate area erupts in applause. Passengers who watched her torture 2 children for an hour celebrating her downfall. Phones capturing her shocked face as reality finally penetrates her certainty that she was protected by her position. This is insane. Vanessa's voice cracks. I was doing my job. That child assaulted me verbally. I was defending myself. We have multiple witnesses who say otherwise, Davis says. And we'll be reviewing all video evidence. You'll have your chance to tell your side at the station. The white woman who filmed everything approaches, her phone extended. Officer, I have video of the entire incident. You can clearly see she slapped that child. He wasn't threatening anyone. Thank you, ma'am. Davis takes her contact information. We'll need that for evidence. The elderly black man steps forward. I'll give a statement too. I saw everything from the beginning. She's been harassing those babies for over an hour before she hit that boy. 8 more passengers volunteer as witnesses, their earlier silence transforming into belated action, guilt motivating what compassion didn't during the actual assault. A paramedic team arrives, approaches Bryce and Bailey with gentle professionalism. Hey guys, I'm Sarah. I'm a paramedic. Can I check out that mark on your face? Bryce nods. Lets Sarah examine his cheek where the handprint is still visible, red and slightly swollen, the physical evidence of Vanessa's violence documented with photos that will become prosecution exhibits. No broken skin but significant erythema and edema, Sarah notes. Consistent with an open palm strike. You're going to have some bruising. Does it hurt when I touch here? Yes, Bryce winces. I'm going to recommend you see your regular doctor for follow-up, Sarah says gently. But there's no immediate medical emergency. You're okay physically, though I imagine this was really scary. She hit me really hard. Bryce's voice breaks again. I've never been hit before. My parents don't even spank us. They always said hitting is wrong. It is wrong, Sarah says firmly. Especially an adult hitting a child. What she did was completely unacceptable and illegal. 12 minutes after the airport police arrived, 3 U.S. Marshals enter the gate area in full tactical gear, their presence transforming the scene from local law enforcement matter to federal incident. The lead marshal, Deputy Thomas Chin, approaches Sergeant Davis. We're here on Judge Harper's request. What's the status? Suspect is detained. Davis gestures to Vanessa in handcuffs. Witnesses are being interviewed. Victims are safe. Paramedics have assessed injuries. Marshal Chen approaches the twins. Bryce and Bailey Harper? The twins nod, intimidated by the official presence. Your mother sent us, Chen says kindly. You're safe now. We're going to stay with you until she arrives. Nobody's going to hurt you again. When is she coming? Bailey asks, tears starting fresh. She's driving from Savannah. Chen checks his phone. She's about 2 hours away, moving very fast according to Georgia State Patrol, who's been notified to let her through. Chen turns to Vanessa, who's being held by airport police, his voice formal and cold. Ma'am, you're being held on federal assault charges. Assaulting minors on federal property. Airports fall under federal jurisdiction. You're looking at felony charges. Vanessa's face goes pale, the word federal finally penetrating her defenses. Federal? This is just a misunderstanding. It was a disciplinary action, not assault. Slapping a child is a felony, ma'am, Chin says flatly. Not a disciplinary action, not a misunderstanding, a crime, and you committed it in front of dozens of witnesses with video documentation. 15 minutes after the marshals arrive, a man in an expensive suit rushes into the gate area, sweating and clearly stressed, his eyes scanning until they land on the twins. Bryce and Bailey Harper? His voice is nervous. The twins nod warily. I'm Richard Chin, Vice President of Operations for the airline. He extends his hand, then pulls it back, realizing shaking hands with traumatized children is inappropriate. On behalf of the airline, I want to apologize profoundly for what happened. This is absolutely unacceptable. We're arranging first-class seats for you on the next flight to Denver. Bryce looks at him with 12-year-old skepticism. Your employee hit me in the face and wouldn't let us board for an hour. Why should we trust your airline? You shouldn't, Chin says honestly. But your mother instructed me to stay with you, and I'm following her orders because frankly she terrifies me more than my own seal. Bailey manages a small smile at that. Our mom is pretty scary when she's mad. I presided over a discrimination case against this airline. Rachel's voice comes through the phone still on speaker. I ruled against them for systematic profiling. Mr. Chen knows exactly how I feel about his company's track record, don't you, Richard? Chen winces. Yes, Your Honor, and I assure you this incident will result in comprehensive policy reviews and personnel changes. The better, Rachel says. Now put my children in first class on the next Denver flight, comp their tickets, assign a dedicated flight attendant, and send me Vanessa Sterling's complete employment file including all complaints by 5 p.m. today. It will be done, Judge Harper. 3 hours and 17 minutes after Bailey sent the emergency text, Rachel Harper's car screeches into the airport arrival area, David barely putting it in park before Rachel jumps out and runs through the automatic doors, her federal judge credentials getting her past security without the normal screening, Marshals having cleared her path. She reaches Gate C14 at a sprint, sees her children surrounded by Marshals and airline personnel, sees Vanessa Sterling still there in handcuffs being detained, sees Bryce's face with the visible red mark, and her professional composure shatters completely. The twins see their mother and run, all three colliding in an embrace that's desperate and relieved, Rachel holding both children so tight they can barely breathe, tears streaming down her face as she kisses their foreheads, examines Bryce's injury, whispers, I'm so sorry I wasn't here, over and over. You came so fast, Bryce sobs into her shoulder. You got the police and the Marshals and you made them arrest her. Of course I did. Rachel pulls back to look at both their faces. Nobody touches my children. Nobody, you understand me? Bailey nods, still crying. We were so scared, Mom. She was so mean, we didn't do anything wrong and she just kept being horrible. I know, baby. Rachel cups Bailey's face. I know, and she's going to pay for what she did, I promise you that. Rachel stands, her eyes finding Vanessa across the gate area, walks toward her with David and the Marshals following. Vanessa sees her coming, sees the federal judge whose children she just assaulted, and genuine fear crosses her face for the first time. Are you their mother? Vanessa tries to speak first. Your son was extremely disrespectful, he was aggressive and I felt threatened, I had to defend myself. Rachel's voice is deadly calm. I'm not just their mother. I'm federal Judge Rachel Harper, and you just committed felony assault on a minor in my jurisdiction. Now I suggest you exercise your right to remain silent because anything you say is going to be used against you in my courtroom. Vanessa goes pale, the full weight of her situation finally clear. Your Honor, surely there's been a misunderstanding. Vanessa's lawyer tries to intervene. Counselor, I have video evidence from 4 different angles. Rachel's voice could cut steel. I have 12 witness statements, I have airport police reports, I have U.S. Marshal documentation, I have medical photos of my son's injuries. What part of that is a misunderstanding? The lawyer goes silent, understanding this case is unwinnable. Rachel turns to Sergeant Davis. Book her, assault and battery on a minor. I want federal charges filed. I'll be personally reviewing the case file. Yes, Your Honor, Davis signals his officers. Rachel watches Vanessa being led away, watches the woman who terrorized her children finally face consequences, but the satisfaction is hollow because her son still has a handprint on his face, because her children are traumatized, because justice doesn't undo harm. She returns to the twins who are giving statements to investigators, sits beside them as they recount the hour of harassment, the escalating cruelty, the final assault. Rachel listens to her children describe begging an adult for basic fairness, hears the tremor in their voices, sees how this experience has stolen something from their innocence. The white woman who filmed approaches hesitantly. Judge Harper, I'm Margaret Wilson, I have video of the entire incident, but I need to apologize. I should have intervened sooner. I should have physically stopped her before it got to that point. Rachel looks at her with exhausted eyes. You're right, you should have, and I hope that knowledge haunts you enough that next time you don't just record, you act. Margaret nods, tears in her eyes. I will, I promise, I'll never be a bystander again. The elderly black man approaches next. Judge, I tried to speak up but she threatened to call security on me. I'm ashamed I sat back down. You spoke up more than most, Rachel says more gently. The system makes us all afraid, I understand that, but yes, next time push harder. Richard Chen provides Vanessa's employment file. Rachel reviews it immediately, sees 29 complaints over 17 years, sees that 24 involve black passengers or children, sees pattern after pattern dismissed with minimal investigation. Your airline enabled this woman for 17 years. Rachel's voice is cold. Every complaint was ignored, every warning sign dismissed. And today she assaulted my children. We'll be discussing this in civil court, Mr. Chen. We'll cooperate fully, Your Honor, Chen says weakly. You'll do more than cooperate, Rachel says. You'll settle, generously, or I'll take this to trial and make sure every news outlet in America knows your company's history of ignoring racial discrimination complaints. The twins are booked on the next flight to Denver, first class. Dedicated flight attendant, Rachel and David flying with them. The couple's retreat abandoned because family comes first, because their children need them more than they need romance. As they board, Bryce touches his face, winces. Mom, is my face going to bruise? Probably, baby, Rachel says honestly. But bruises heal, and you did nothing wrong. You stood up for yourself with dignity. I'm so proud of you. I thought being polite would protect us, Bryce says quietly. Dad always says know your rights and speak clearly, but it didn't matter. She still hit me. Rachel feels her heart break. You're right, sometimes doing everything right still isn't enough. Sometimes people hurt us anyway, but that doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It means she did, and she's going to prison for it. Vanessa Sterling's trial happens 11 months later, federal charges of assault and battery on a minor, the courtroom packed with media and civil rights advocates, the video evidence playing on screens showing every moment of her cruelty, every second of Bryce's fear before the slap that changed everything. The prosecution presents devastating testimony, Bryce on the stand at 13 describing the hour of harassment, the escalating threats, the moment Vanessa's hand connected with his face, his voice breaking as he recounts the humiliation of being hit in front of strangers, the tears streaming as he explains he's never been struck before, that his parents taught him violence is never acceptable. Bailey testifies about watching her brother get assaulted, about the terror of not knowing if it would happen to her too, about texting their mother with shaking hands, about the year of nightmares where she relives that moment over and over. Vanessa's defense tries to argue she felt threatened by a tall black child, that she was overwhelmed and made an error in judgment, that she's suffered enough from losing her career and facing public condemnation, but the video contradicts everything, shows Bryce backing away, shows him speaking calmly, shows unprovoked violence against a child. The jury deliberates 3 hours, returns guilty on all counts. The verdict met with quiet satisfaction from the Harper family, with collapse from Vanessa's daughter who's publicly disowned her mother, with relief from advocates who fought against this kind of abuse for generations. Sentencing comes 6 weeks later, the judge reviewing Vanessa's employment record, finding the pattern of complaints against black passengers, finding evidence this wasn't isolated incident but culmination of 17 years of unchecked bias. 5 years federal prison. The judge's voice is firm. You had authority over vulnerable children and you abused that power through harassment and violence. You showed no remorse until facing consequences. You blamed the victims for your actions. This sentence reflects the severity of your crimes and the need to protect children from people like you. Vanessa is led away crying, her life destroyed by 5 seconds of violence, by the decision to strike a child who challenged her authority, by the racism she could have examined but chose to nurture. The civil lawsuit settles before trial, the airline paying $15 million to avoid Rachel taking them to court where she'd systematically expose their pattern of ignoring discrimination complaints. Vanessa personally liable for $200,000 she'll never have, declaring bankruptcy, losing everything. The Harper family uses $10 million to establish the Bryce and Bailey Foundation, providing legal advocacy for children who face discrimination in transportation, funding implicit bias training for airline personnel, supporting families affected by authority abuse, turning tragedy into systemic change. Federal legislation follows. The Child Passenger Protection Act, unofficially called the Harper Twins Law, criminalizing physical contact with minors by transportation employees except in genuine safety emergencies, mandating body cameras for gate agents, requiring independent review of all passenger complaints involving children, creating accountability that protects the vulnerable. Within 2 years, discrimination complaints against airline personnel dropped 48%, physical abuse incidents dropped 92%, children flying alone reporting feeling safer, parents trusting systems that failed before. If you've ever watched injustice happen and stayed silent because intervening felt risky, if you've ever recorded abuse instead of stopping it, if you've ever chosen your comfort over a child's safety, let this story change you. 30 people watched Bryce Harper get slapped and only spoke up after, their silence enabling violence they could have prevented. Subscribe if you believe protecting children matters more than avoiding confrontation. Like this video if you understand bystanders who do nothing are complicit in harm, because every view, every share, every comment spreads awareness that saves the next child from experiencing what Bryce and Bailey endured. Bryce at 13 still has nightmares, still flinches when adults raise their voices, still struggles with anxiety in airports, therapy helping but trauma leaving permanent marks invisible to cameras. He started speaking at schools about standing up to authority abuse, about the fact that being polite and respectful doesn't always protect you, about how systems need to change because children shouldn't have to be perfect to deserve safety. Bailey at 13 carries guilt that therapy works to resolve, guilt that she didn't protect her brother, that she froze when he needed her, that her text to mom came after the slap instead of before. She writes about the experience, turns it into advocacy journalism, publishes an essay at 14 that goes viral about bystander culture and how silence kills. Rachel carries different pain, the agony of not being there when her children needed her most, the helplessness of being 250 miles away while they suffered. She uses her position to push for reforms, rules more harshly in discrimination cases, becomes known as a judge who will not tolerate abuse of the vulnerable. David channels his grief into legal action, takes on more civil rights cases involving children, wins settlements that fund systemic changes, teaches his kids that what happened to them matters, that their suffering bought protections for others. The family returns to flying, but it's different now. Bryce tenses during boarding, Bailey watches gate agents with suspicion, parents stay hypervigilant, the ease and joy of travel stolen by one woman's hatred. 3 years later, Bryce and Bailey are 15, testifying before Congress about the need for stronger protections for unaccompanied minors, their voices steady as they describe how 1 hour of abuse changed their lives forever, how systems failed them until their mother's authority forced accountability. Vanessa serves 3 years before parole eligibility, sits in prison understanding too late that 5 seconds of violence destroyed everything, that the satisfaction of putting a black child in his place cost her freedom, family, future. She writes a letter to the Harpers attempting apology. They never respond because some harm is too deep for forgiveness. And somewhere at airports across America, children fly alone with slightly more protection, with body cameras recording interactions, with complaint systems that actually respond, with the knowledge that Bryce and Bailey Harper's suffering made them safer, that sometimes the worst moments create the most important changes, that justice delayed by silence is still justice when it finally arrives.